Welcome back everybody to our 2D sandbox series. So we're getting quite close to the end of the series actually now. There's not much left we have to do. In the last episode we have it so now that tools can only break specific blocks. So axes can only break trees, they can't break the ground. Hammers can only break background blocks, they can't break trees or anything. And then pickaxes can not break walls, they can only break solid blocks. So good progress. A couple of issues, obviously. Our background is so tiles in our inventory in our background, such as wood and rocks, which should be light, are dark because obviously our code says they're in the background, so make them darker, which is wrong for our inventory at least. So we're going to do some changes to our tile classes. A couple of other things we're going to have it so our tools, when we're holding them, can actually be seen on our player. That would be a quite cool addition. A couple of issues still with lighting, but we will address that probably much later into the series, maybe towards the end. People want to see infinite worlds. That's something we probably do towards the end of the series as well, at the very end of course. So those are more additional stuff, seeing as they're not game breaking things, and personally I don't know how to fix some of them just yet. That said, in this episode one of the things I really want to do is add a cursor, so we have like a block following our mouse in game, which I think will be quite nice. That way when we're hovering over a tile, we have a little square outline of that tile, of whichever one we're selecting. I think that'd be quite nice. And then we can also have an animation which plays when we break a block, it appears to be cracking and whatnot. I think that would be quite a cool addition to do as well. That said, today I'll probably add it so we can see tools in our hands, and then we'll see what else we can fit in. So let's get straight into it. Okay, so we are in Unity. I've just loaded up the project. First thing we're going to do is modify our player, because at the moment he doesn't have a slot for the tools to go in under. So let's save the scene, and I'm just going to find just a sprite. So I might just find the axe sprite real quick. There we go. So this is the sprite we're using for the axe. I'm going to drag and drop that onto, I think it's male arm, this one. Material, this is order and layer, yes. So you want to find the arm on the top of the player, of course, and just drag and drop your axe underneath it. Cool. Make sure you set the X position and Y position to 0, and you get something like this. So obviously this is wrong. What we're going to do is position this as if we'd like to see on the player, obviously. So rotation should be 45, I think, on the Z axis. And with that done, you'll see that now when we rotate our arm, the axe comes with it, which is perfect. Except obviously this axe is not always going to be an axe. So once you've set the positions and however you want the axe to look in scene, we're actually going to rename this to hand holder. And basically every game object, such as axes and whatnot, are going to appear underneath the hand holder object. So let's say minus 0.3, 5, minus 0.56, just so I have some sort of whole numbers, and then we can get rid of the sprite renderer object, just like that. And now you'll see when we drag and drop an axe underneath the hand holder object and set everything to 0, it should appear there, but it didn't. Wait, no, that was correct. I just set it to 0. My bad. There we go. Yes, so yeah, I just set scale to 0, which obviously makes it like this. That should be 1. Okay, yeah, my bad. It does work, yes. So when we drag any tool down, say even if we drag a mace, which we don't even have in-game, if I set that to 1, 0, 0, 0, it appears exactly in the position it should be. So, good. That works. Yes, so that's actually our player done. I'm just going to click on the player root object, go to overrides and press apply all, so that applies back to the prefab. Save that, and now I'm going to go back into our player controller. So let's open up Visual Studio, player controller right here. And our player controller is just going to take in another game object now. So I'll put it over here, and this is going to be public game object, and this is going to be a hand holder object. Nice. And with that done, now whenever we move up a tile and we update this, so we say set selected UI whatnot here, whenever we set the UI, we also want to set the hand holder object values. So obviously we want to set the sprite and whatnot of that. So how can we do that? Very simple, actually. Since our hand holder object, all we have to do is basically change the sprite onto it. Since all this is variables we set in the transform, its position and etc. Now, anytime we give it a sprite, it will instantly go into the right position. So I'll show you what I mean now. That's our hand holder object. This should have a sprite renderer. My bad at getting rid of that. And now if I, for example, just give this a sprite of, let's say, an axe, you'll see it appears there. If I give it a bow, bow might not appear correctly. Yeah, bow's a bit off, but that's fine. We'll fix that up in another episode. Pickaxes, they're all fine. Shovels, yes. And swords. Swords are a bit off, actually. What I might do... Whoa, okay. My sprites are a bit off. Like I said in the first episode, I didn't make these. They're just downloaded, so they might not work perfectly for me. However, if you make your own, then obviously you can set all the values however you want to set them. So I think these values are fine for the transform. Seems to be working good enough. Yeah, I'll stick with these. Again, make your own sprite, set your own values for whichever looks best. And once you've done that, obviously, just make sure you set the sprite here to none, because we don't need to see it. And then again, go to player root, overrides, apply all. Save your project, and that should be fine. Cool, so that's that part done. Now, like I said, we just have to apply the sprite. So selected slot index, obviously, selected item is what we're going to use. So I can just say hand holder dot get components sprite renderer dot sprite equals, and here I'm going to set it to selected item dot sprite, and I think that should work. I think have my inventory open because we have a null reference, and of course we're having that because I actually forgot to set the hand holder object. So let me quickly do that. Drag and drop your hand holder object into your inspector window, right into the slot where it says literally hand holder. Press play, and now let's see how that works. Okay, so we've spawned in, and as you can see, I'm holding a pickaxe. When I swing, I'm swinging my pickaxe. I can switch to my axe, and obviously whenever I switch, it switches in here as well. Issue is if I switch to none, like no object here, then I get an error and that breaks my game and I'm still holding the axe. So basically it ruins everything. So all I have to do is just say if there's a sprite there, so if selected item is not equal to null, then do this. Otherwise, in fact, the other thing we should check is if the selected item holding is in fact a tool, but I'm going to see how holding blocks looks, and if it breaks everything, then I won't use it. If it doesn't, then I'm going to use it. Regardless, I can just say else hand holder sprite equals null. So dot sprite equals null. Just like that. And with that written, that should hopefully theoretically, if everything goes well, fix all our issues. Here we go. I have spawned in holding a pickaxe, axe, hammer, and now nothing. Cool. If I break something, obviously I have to hold the pickaxe. Boom, pick it up. And then if I switch to the block, as you can see, the block is quite big in my hand. Because obviously, I mean, look, it makes sense because it's the same size as a block in the real world. Personally, I'm not too fussed. I'm happy with this. But obviously, it doesn't look that nice. So, there we go. And also, that gives an error. None, then if item.item type equals this. First, you have to say if item.item type is not equal to null. If item is not equal to null. So basically what is happening is it's passing in the item into the break tile script saying, hey, I want to break this block with this item. Obviously, it's passing the selected item. If we're breaking it with our hand, selected item is null. And obviously, it's trying to get the item type of null value, which doesn't exist. So we just have to make sure it's not null and then check if the item type is a tool. And then check if the tool that we're trying to break it with is the correct tool. So back to our player controller. What we have to do is once we set the value to the sprite, that is fine. However, we just have to say if selected item dot item type is equal to item class or item type dot block. So if it's a block, then I just want to say handholder dot transform dot scale. So it will turn it into local scale, and I'm just going to say equals vector 3 dot 1 times 0.5. And what that will do is make it so that our scale on the X, Y, and Z axis are all 0.5. However, again, our scale on the X axis was actually -1. So how can we do that? Well, I'm not sure. And I just realized this line will actually break everything, because what it's doing is it's every frame is setting it to itself divided by 2. That's what times 0.5 does. Which means it's going to constantly exponentially get smaller. Which is not good. This should actually be this as well. New vector 3 minus 1, 1, 1, 1 times 0.5. In fact, if you did want, you could just do negative 0.5f, 0.5f, and 0.5f. That is essentially the same thing. So each to their own. I'll keep it like this for simplicity's sake. But yeah, there we go. Test it and let's find out. Okay, so we have spawned in. I'm just going to break a couple snow blocks, switch to snow block, and you can see that they actually look the correct size in my hand now. So I'm probably going to stick with this size. I'm happy with that. What you could do as well, at the moment we have it so place tiles is with the right click, and then breaking tiles is with left click. However, if you've ever played Terraria, you'll notice that both are actually the same. Left click is for both, and then right click is for interacting. You could do that if you wanted to. That said, I know this episode was quite short and just doing something really simple. However, I do want to keep episodes kind of short and sweet and just doing a specific topic, just to make titling them easier and also allowing people to find them a little bit easier. So yeah, that's it for today. Well, for this episode, I will record the next episode soon. One of the things we do have to fix is floating trees. That's back for some reason, no idea. And same with floating rocks. And there's a bunch of other issues we have to fix. However, that is actually going to be pretty much, I think the rest of this series now is just bug fixing. We're not going to add many more features. One of the last features I want to add is, of course, the holding down to break blocks. But apart from that, that's it. So, if you guys have any more suggestions for what to add, leave it in the comments, leave a like to let me know that you are enjoying the series and you do want to see more of the series. I just want to thank you guys all for watching. I will catch you guys in the next one. Take care and peace.